All right, hello everybody. I'm Stacy Jenkins. I'm one of the academic advisors for your major, and we're going to introduce ourselves before we jump into our webinar today, but we're so glad that you're able to join us, and we want to just extend a warm congratulations to you, and we're very excited to have you a part of our majors. All right, so I'll kick us off with introductions. I'm Stacy Jenkins. I am one of your academic advisors for psychology, cognitive science, science and technology studies, and philosophy. And I'm going to hand it over to Jillian.
Hey, I'm Jillian. I'm another one of the undergraduate advisors on the team. And I'll hand it over to Alyssa.
Hello, my name's Alyssa McGorian. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm an undergraduate advisor on the team. I'll kick it off to Rachel.
Hello, I'm Rachel Hale. I'm another undergrad advisor, and I actually was a transfer student just like you all once upon a time. I transferred to Davis and I basically never left. All right, Padone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Padone. I'm also another staff undergraduate advisor. It's nice to meet you all.
All right. So let's get started just by talking about what you can expect for this upcoming fall. And I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that this year and previous to that, the whole pandemic has been a real wild time for everybody, and that's certainly true for the university. And so I wanted to share with you our plans so far, but just know that as the university is monitoring the CDC and what's happening locally with the pandemic, things are subject to change. So all I can tell you is what we're planning for right now at this point in time, which is that fall classes will be in person, and we're expecting about 99% of classes to be in person for fall if things kind of stay the same or improve. And so if you were expecting virtual classes, please know that there really aren't going to be that many offered, at least at this point. Masks will likely be required for all students, although instructors who enforce this in a classroom setting may be up to the instructor's discretion. Vaccines will likely be required, except in very specific and special circumstances. For example, if there's a medical reason why you can't get a vaccine. And so for those special circumstances, students should get connected with our Student Disability Center. And then also, if you have any other health related concerns regarding the pandemic and your personal health on campus, then please reach out to the Student Disability Center or Health Services. Also, we want to remind everyone to please make sure you check your UC Davis email regularly. Your UC Davis email is also how departments on campus will communicate with you about really critical information like course registration and signing up for required academic advising appointments and financial aid, housing, all that kind of stuff. So even though we sent an email about this webinar to the email address that you applied with, just know that moving forward, all of your university communication, including communication from us, are going to go directly to your UC Davis email account. So if you aren't already hooked up with your UC Davis email account, please make sure that's top priority for you so that you can get that information moving forward. And then also just one last thing before we move on and get started with the main content for today, to stay abreast of all of the information about COVID as it happens. All of that information will be communicated up front on our Campus Ready website, which is the website that you see on this slide right now. So that is a really good place to go for the most updated information just on locally what's happening on our campus, and changing protocol around COVID. So even us as staff, we go there to check all of the updated information for campus too. All right. So we're going to talk about a lot today, and these slides are going to be available to you later on via a Zoom recording that we'll make available to everybody. So please know that this information is referenceable in the future. So we're going to talk a little bit about the majors that we advise for in this office, which are all of the majors that you all have been admitted into, the various minors that our office offers, and then we're also going to discuss your fall quarter schedule and sample schedules, how to access those sample schedules, academic advising for your major, ways to get involved in your major in particular, resources that we think are really important for students to know in their first quarter and their first year, summer academic advising options if you feel like you're going to need some support before we start our fall quarter. And then we really want to make sure that you all have a chance to connect with each other today. So we're going to conclude our webinar with an opportunity for you all to get to know each other in breakout rooms.
So I'm up, so I'm going to give a quick overview of the majors that we advise for. So you have been admitted to a specific major, but we in the yellow cluster, which is an administrative office that we work in that advises for all of these majors. So the biggest one that we have is psychology. I won't read the numbers on the screen, but you can see how big psychology is. It's one of the largest on campus. Next biggest, we have cognitive science, which is a fairly new major. And then we have philosophy, and then we have science and technology studies, which is our smallest major, but just as important as every other major that we have. So all in all, we have over 3,000 students that we advise for on this team. So we have a lot of students. So keep that in mind when you're scheduling appointments. We do have a lot of students that we see, but we are excited to talk to all of you that are able to, or that want to make appointments this summer. So yellow cluster is a term that you'll see on emails and around the building, just the advising office that you will visit, and our website, of course. Okay, next slide. So this is an overview of the major options. So while we have 4 majors, we really have more than that because they each have their own different emphasis options. So I'll kind of go over a little bit about what we have. So for psychology, we have both the Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts option. And the Bachelor of Arts option is just a general emphasis, so you kind of get to pick which area of psychology that we have that you can focus on. And then for the Bachelor of Science, you'll see that we have 2 different options, and you do have to select one of these. So you'll pick which one you want to follow. But we have the quantitative emphasis, and then we have the biology emphasis. Next, we have cognitive science. Again, both a Bachelor of Science and a Bachelor of Arts option. The Bachelor of Arts is the general emphasis. You get to pick where you focus. And then the Bachelor of Science, you'll select one of these 2 emphases, either the neuroscience or the computational. So for those of you in either psych or cognitive science, you will notice that regardless of the major that you selected on your application, like if you chose to do the Bachelor of Arts, your OASIS record or your student record is likely saying you're the Bachelor of Science. That is just the default that all students come in under. So don't fret, don't worry if you are planning to do the Bachelor of Arts. Just follow the requirements for the Bachelor of Arts, and you can switch formally to the Bachelor of Arts in your second quarter, and I'll go over that on the next slide. But it's okay, it's just the default, nothing's wrong, just keep that in mind. So then we have the philosophy major, so we have 3 different emphases there. We have a general emphasis, a pre-med emphasis, and then a pre-law emphasis, and these are all just the Bachelor of Arts. And then for science and technology studies, we do have 4 different emphases. We have law and innovation, health and environment, data and media technologies, and then history and philosophy of science. And if you haven't decided yet which of these emphases you're doing, that's okay. I would just take a look at our website. I see that we're putting them in links in the chat right now. So take a look at the course options for each emphasis and which one seems the most interesting to you. What have you already taken, that kind of thing. And that can help you kind of decide which emphasis is the best for you. Oh, also, AB is something that you'll see around. That's just UC Davis using the Latin version of Bachelor of Arts. It stands for RDM and Baccalaureate. So it's the same thing, it's Bachelor of Arts. We just flip the thing there. So for changing your major, so some of you may have come in as one major, but you're planning to switch, or you want to switch to the Bachelor of Arts. It'll be the same process, or if you even want to add a double major, which some of you may be interested in doing. So all of those things follow the same process. So that's the change of major form, which you can find in your student record. However, the earliest that you can change your major is winter quarter. So you do have to have a full academic quarter and a UC Davis GPA before you can switch your major. So in winter quarter, if you start in fall, that'll be the earliest you can switch. Some majors do have additional requirements. So either required courses that you have to have already taken or a specific GPA requirement. So if there's a major that you intend to switch into or change or add, just be sure to look at the requirements for that major and then see what do you have to do, and it'll be in the form as well. The form can be found in OASIS, like I said. Look up the requirements, see what you need to take in fall in order to be making progress towards that major. And then there's that note there about switching to the Bachelor of Arts. So again, you can do that in winter quarter. All right, next slide. So we also have different minors that we advise for in our office. So at UC Davis, we have, I think, a little over 100 different minor options. So for those of you interested in doing a minor, we have a lot of different options for you. So we have, in our department, we have a psychology minor, a philosophy minor, general emphasis, and then a philosophy minor, logic emphasis. And then our STS minor is actually called history and philosophy of science. So these are the different minor options that we have and that we advise for. And keep in mind, you can minor in anything other than your major. So if you're a psych major, you can't take extra classes to also get a psych minor. It does have to be outside of your major. But if you're, say, a philosophy major, you can do a psych minor and vice versa. All right, I'll hand it over to Alyssa.
Thank you. All right, so I'm excited to talk to you about building out your fall quarter class schedule. I'm sure you're all excited about this part. And as you're coming in, many of you may be coming from a semester-based school system. And at Davis, as you may know, we are on the quarter system. So it means it's a lot faster. Our quarters are 10 weeks long. And as you're thinking about your fall quarter schedule, we really want you to keep that in mind and make sure that you know, really give yourself time to adjust to the quarter system, not overwhelm yourself with classes, and really kind of develop a balanced course schedule. So you're not, taking all science and math classes. We want you to diversify your fall quarter schedule so you can be successful. In general, we encourage folks to take about 15 units in fall quarter. Anything from 12 to 16 units is perfect. 12 units is the minimum that you need for full-time status for financial aid purposes. But the average of 15 units each quarter is a general recommendation so you can stay on track to finish your major requirements in about 2 years. We recommend that you take about 2 classes for your major each quarter to stay on track as well. And then the rest of your classes can satisfy other requirements, such as general education. If you didn't finish your IGETC certificate, for example, if you need to make up a small portion, you can kind of balance out there. You can also, you'll need to take an upper division writing requirement, which is a requirement from the College of Letters and Science. And in addition, you'll want to make sure that, by the end of your time at Davis, you have 64 upper division units and 180 total units that you'll need to graduate. That total includes at least or up to 105 lower division transfer credits you may be bringing in with you. So take that into account. You don't have to do the whole 180 at Davis. You're bringing some credits with you. And of course, as you're building out your fall schedule, you may have some interest. Jillian mentioned some minors. There are many, many minors to choose from. That's a great way to kind of fill in some of the gaps between your major requirements and these 64 upper division units and 180 total units. Oh, just looking at the chat. Thank you, Rachel. So as you can see the example here, we have a psych major who's already taken Psych 41. They have about 16 units in their fall schedule by taking Psych 100, which is a great intro to cognitive psychology class, a good one to take kind of early on. Psych 140, developmental psych. And then the other 2, we listed that as upper division units / minor, and then the last one, lower or upper division units for that fun interest class. So the reason why we recommend about 15 units in fall quarter, depending on what you're balancing in work and life, is because 1 unit is equal to about 3 hours of work every week. And so if you tally that up, that's 12 hours for a regular 4-unit class. And if you take about 16 units, that's 48 hours a week that you're spending in class, doing assignments, studying, and whatnot. So it's a lot of work. And we want you to have balance. We don't want you to overextend yourself, especially in your first quarter. It's really important that you have a very successful start in your fall quarter. And I want to emphasize this is general advice and based on what works for most students. But if you have a job that takes a lot of your time, if you commute, if you're a caregiver for a family member, or simply want to have more time to get involved on campus, you can choose to take fewer units, minimum of 12. And so it's really about finding what is going to be most successful for you and what you need. Excellent. So here we have a lovely infographic kind of giving you the big picture of what you need to graduate. I mentioned the 180 total units that you need to graduate and how those lower division transfer units that you're bringing in are going to help fill a lot of those. You're going to be taking your 64 upper division units. A good portion of those are going to be filled by your major requirements. So for example, if you're a Psych AB, you're going to have 40 upper division units just for the Psych major requirements there. But then you can see you have 24 upper division units to kind of make up. And that's where a minor could be a great way to fill that, or you can just take really interesting upper division classes that you want to check out. And then there's just a tiny little gap even between those 11 to 26 units to make sure that you reach the 180 total units to graduate. There is a maximum of 225 units before the college will kindly say, okay, your time at Davis is coming to a close. We don't want you to stay forever. We don't want you to have excessive loans. We want you to be successful and go on to the next big thing that you're going to do. Okay, next slide. We have another just a friendly reminder and infographic of what a successful fall quarter schedule is all about. It's about balance. So just to emphasize again, 2 major classes in general, a minor class, and then another fun class. So about 15 to 16 units. So we have some resources on our Yellow Cluster website for new transfer students. Let me go ahead and get you that link really quick so you can access it. There we go. Oh, whoops, I put in the College of Letters and Science new students. Let me get the right one for our Yellow Cluster. That link is still, oh, thank you, Padone. That link is still helpful, but it has more information on kind of like the college-wide level. Our Yellow Cluster website for new students is really helpful because it gives you links to the major requirements, which Padone put in earlier as well, but it also has a great section on your transfer course credit. It has some additional sample schedules that you can take a look at. And it also has really handy information about placement exams. So for example, if you're coming into the Psych BS Bio major, that's what you're really interested in doing. And if you have not yet taken a first general chemistry class, you'll want to check out the placement exams for chemistry. So please take a look at that, read up on that, and know what to expect depending on what major requirements you still have yet to fill. I did want to point out too, and I'm sorry, I meant to say this earlier, but we, as your major advisors, we are taking the time right now to carefully evaluate your transfer credit that you're bringing with you from the preview that we have in the system so far. So of course, you're sending in your official transcript, so we don't have quite everything, but what we can see from your admissions application, we're looking at that carefully to see what it articulates to for your major requirements. And we're building out an academic plan in OASIS for you. And so we have 430 students who are coming in as new transfers, which is amazing, but we are only a small team. So it is going to take us a little while to get through that. We're really trying and hoping to finish this up next week, but please be patient if we're not quite done with everyone's academic plans by then. But our goal is that you can go into OASIS, look under the Forms and Petitions tab to view this 2-year academic plan, which can serve as a very helpful guide. And again, it's just a suggested guide for the next couple of years. You can really kind of play around with the plan, adjust it, pace yourself more slowly or more quickly, depending on whether you want to take summer classes or not. But it's just a start for you to see like, okay, I have this credit, and these are the remaining major requirements that I have for this particular major. Again, we're dealing with the information that we have. We may not know if you're planning to switch out to another major or do a double major. So this is just hopefully a helpful suggested academic plan. All right. I'll kick it off to Rachel.
One more thing about the plans. We're taking a guess at what emphasis you're doing based on the classes you've taken. So if we guess wrong, we're sorry. But yeah, you can just look at the degree worksheet for the emphasis that you actually want to do, and you can see which classes to take there. All right, so we're going to talk about advising at UC Davis because it's probably quite a bit different than what you're used to at your community college. At your community college, you probably have one advisor that you would go to. But at UC Davis, we're all very specialized in our own fields. So the advising is very decentralized. We don't have a one-stop shop for anything really, it's hard to get used to, but it's also good because we are all experts in our own fields. So the major advisors, which is us, we can discuss your major and minor requirements and give you recommendations. We can also help you to schedule your major classes or select your major classes. And we usually recommend 2 major classes per quarter. And if you're doing a minor in one of our departments, we can help you with that too. Even for people who aren't our majors, they can come to us for minor advising. And then the college advisors, so that's the College of Letters and Science, they will help you with your college and university requirements like GEs, IGETC, if you have that from your community college, upper division units, total units, writing requirements, foreign language, like all that kind of stuff outside of your major is what they'll help you with. And then they can also help you drop classes after the drop deadline. If you come to us first, we will send you to them because that's LNS that takes care of that kind of thing. Okay, next slide. So this is our team, and all of us are here today except for Melina, who's the supervisor. We are split up by alpha. So you can see under our picture what our alpha is. You can really talk to any of us, but your alpha advisor is the one that you'll meet with more frequently. Yeah, and if we don't have an answer for you about something, you can always start with us. And if we don't know the answer, we'll get you to somebody who does know the answer for you. So yeah, feel free to ask us anything and we'll help you out. Okay, we also have peer advisors in our cluster. They are great to talk to about what classes to take because they have actually taken the classes. They can help you with academic planning. They can help you with your degree worksheets. They can do a lot of the stuff that us staff advisors do, but you'll get a student perspective instead of a non-student perspective, which is nice. And this is our team from the last year. And well, these are all the graduating seniors from the last year. So we're sad to lose them all, but we'll be getting new peer advisors this next year. Okay. And Young Hall is going to be your new base of operations. So all of us advisors are in Young Hall. We all have different offices, but we're all pretty close to each other. So yeah, Young Hall is going to be your home. And we are on the quad side of campus, so right across from the MU. We're pretty centralized, so it's a good location.
Agreed. I'm going to talk to you about ways to get involved in your major, but I just wanted to piggyback on what Rachel said about our location. Young Hall is awesome because we are across the street from two boba places. Pho is down the street and the student union is across the street in the other direction. So yay us and you. All right, so let's talk a little bit about getting involved in your major. We're going to start with psychology. We have two student organizations that are supported by the psychology department. That's the Undergraduate Psychology Association, where anybody interested in psychology can join, so you don't have to be declared in the major to join it. And then the Psych-Chi student organization is a National Honor Society for Psychology. And so that does have some eligibility requirements, including your class standing and GPA. There are also lots of psychology adjacent clubs on campus that are not necessarily supported by the department, but we refer students to them all the time because based on your specific interests, you might be interested in, advocacy for community mental health, or you might have a soft place in your heart for people struggling with postpartum depression. So those are examples of some clubs that are related to psychology that might interest you. Moving on to cognitive science, we have a cognitive science club, which is now called the Cognitive Science Student Association. They have breathed new life into their organization this past year because they took a little hiatus over the pandemic and are super excited and jazzed to be building student community in the Cog-Sci major again. So please check them out. They're excited to schedule events for next year. And so if you want to check them out, go to Aggie Life. And then one of the other advisors, can you please put a link to Aggie Life in the Zoom chat for folks? Thank you. And then also for philosophy, there are 3 department-supported student organizations. The first is the General Philosophy Club for anybody who's interested in philosophy. And they organize a pretty large undergraduate philosophy conference every year, which is pretty cool because they bring in speakers from around the country. UPOW is a student organization for women in philosophy, and that is a unique organization because it's a blend of undergraduate students, graduate students, and women faculty in philosophy. And then MAP is our Minorities in Philosophy student organization, and they are also grad students and undergraduate students and faculty who are from underrepresented communities are a part of that student organization. So I highly recommend that you get involved in a club or organization associated with your major. If you are with us today and you are in the Science and Technology Studies major, there was an STS club that took a hiatus over the pandemic, and they are trying to reestablish themselves. And so I think this year for 2022 to 23 is when we're going to see the STS club again. So if you want to get in on that action, please reach out to your faculty advisor and fellow students in STS, and we can make that happen. All right, moving on. One of the really cool things about being a part of UC Davis is that now you're a member of a top tier research community. And part of why that's cool is because while a lot of universities reserve their research opportunities for graduate students, here at UC Davis, there's actually a lot of opportunity for undergraduate students to get involved in research. So if this is something that interests you, then you can try to get hired for a lab or work directly with a faculty member in order to get that research experience. And you can also earn units towards your major if you do that. So for psychology and cognitive science in particular, research opportunities occur within labs. And I think for some students, especially if you're coming from a place that doesn't have a lot of research happening, the word lab might imply to you like a wet lab environment where you're using microscopes and specimen and things like that. That type of research certainly does happen in psychology and cognitive science, but it is a small slice of what research looks like here. So if you have other interests in research, then you will likely find faculty doing something along those lines as well. For example, our developmental psychology faculty are observing children's behavior and trying to have a better understanding of what that behavior means in terms of psychological theory and testing their hypotheses about it. If you are interested in a more traditional wet lab setting, then our biological psychology labs or neuroscience labs would suit your interests. So bottom line is that you'll probably find something that interests you if you're eager to get involved in research. For philosophy and science and technology studies, research opportunities will occur directly with a faculty member. So if you have a strong interest in getting involved in a research project, then we'll refer you to the faculty advisor for your major to talk with you about what your research interests are, what your research questions are, and building an independent study around that. All right, so next about internships is we are really excited for students who want to start getting that experience out in the community. And if you want to find an internship that's related to your major, that is something that we or your faculty advisors can support you with. We also have the Internship and Career Center on campus who supports a lot of students with their effort to find part-time jobs and internship opportunities. Know that in the yellow cluster and in your major department, we will not place you in an internship because that's not something that our departments currently do. However, if you are in a psychology major or a cognitive science major and you find an opportunity that you think aligns really well with your major curriculum, then you can ask us advisors for help seeking or pursuing course credit for the community internship that you're doing that you think is related to your major. All right, So next, we're going to talk a little bit about study abroad, and I just want you to, for a moment, consider study abroad as an opportunity that is possible for you. So let's assume that you would still be able to graduate on time and you would be able to get financially the opportunity covered. So if time to degree and money is not an issue, I want you to use your Zoom emojis to indicate whether you would even be interested in going abroad. So let us know. All right. Oh yeah, I see all sorts of emojis. Okay, cool. So what that tells me is you should check out Study Abroad and Global Learning Opportunities. We, a few years ago, asked students what they saw as barriers to why they wouldn't pursue something like that. And the top reasons that students said were they were thinking that they wouldn't be able to graduate on time, or they were thinking that they wouldn't be able to afford it. And so let me tell you that no matter what kind of major you're in, especially in our majors, psychology, cognitive science, philosophy, and science technology studies, you can find a study abroad program to help you make progress towards your major while you're abroad. So it's not something that you're doing outside of your major curriculum. Although if you are doing a Bachelor of Arts option, then you will most likely have more flexibility in your total degree program, where it doesn't matter if you do major courses while you're studying abroad, because you would have room to pursue something outside of the major if you wanted to and still graduate on time. In terms of finances, financial aid adjusts when you get accepted into a study abroad program, and I can't guarantee that it would adjust to fully cover the cost of the program that you would be doing. However, UC Davis and the UC system has a lot of study abroad scholarships that students can apply to, and we do see them actually, we see students actually getting those scholarships. So I would hope that the cost doesn't deter you just from applying to see if you even get into the program. All right, thank you, Padone, for putting that link into the Zoom chat. All right, so let's transition to taking a look and a virtual walk through our website so you can get connected to some of these resources. Okay, so our yellow cluster website looks like this, and I think this link has already been included in the Zoom chat. If you are tuning in from Zoom recording, then these links will be put into the YouTube description for you. All right, so even though there's lots of goodies on this website, I want to go directly to the area that says I'm a new student. I'm going to select new transfer students, but I also want to just quickly highlight the frequently asked questions as a really good place to find quick answers to really common questions. For instance, if you're struggling with the registration system, you'll find some good answers in there for you. Okay, so over in the sidebar, you'll see a link to finding more information about how to understand course prerequisites for your major and just generally here at UC Davis. And then you'll also find a list of courses that you can take outside of your major classes to help round out your schedule, since we don't want you taking a full load of major classes. This is 2021, but very soon it will be updated to 2022. Okay, we also have quick links to placement information. So if you have AP or IB credit from high school, you can find that information here. And if you need to take a placement exam, you can find those links here. For students in the psychology major, if you are doing the Bachelor of Arts, you may need to take a foreign language placement exam. If you are doing the biological emphasis in psychology, then you will need to take the chemistry and the math placement exams. If you're doing the quantitative emphasis in psychology, you'll need to do the math placement exam and the computer science placement exam. If you are in the cognitive science major and you are doing the Bachelor of Arts, then you may need the foreign language placement. If you are in the neuroscience emphasis, then you will be taking the math placement exam. If you are in the computational emphasis, then you'll need to do the math placement exam and the computer science placement exam. If you are a philosophy major or an STS, Science and Technology Studies major, then the foreign language placement exam may be necessary. This type of information about placements that I just gave you is also going to be available in the Aggie Advising Canvas modules that will be required for you.
I just want to add a quick clarification there. So they're only required if you haven't already taken those classes at community college. So yeah, if you've already taken your calc or even just started like one of the STEM courses, you don't need to take the placement exam. The placement exams are for placing into the first in the series. So if, say you've already taken Math 21A, you don't need to take the placement exam because you've already placed into it because you've already completed it. So just a clarification there.
Excellent clarification. Thank you. All right. So also in the main part of this new transfer student resource, you'll see some steps for understanding how to put together your fall schedule. So step one is just understanding your major requirements, and the major requirements are listed on this first link here. Step two is to learn how your transfer credit works, and that information is on this next link. I'm going to take a peek at that with you. So this gives some general information about how transfer credit generally would come over to UC Davis from California community colleges and from institutions that are outside of the California community college system. There is also information on how to understand how our admissions office codes those transfer classes on your academic record. When you go into your student record, which we call OASIS, that transfer credit probably isn't uploaded on there yet, but throughout the summer, you'll see your transfer credit pop up at some point in your OASIS. Okay. So I want to also show you some other things that are available on our Yellow Cluster website. So I'm going to hover over the Advising tab, Undergraduate, and here we'll see information for major advising. So this will connect you to our drop-in advising and making appointments. We have a pretty extensive career and grad school resource for students in our majors. And so I would recommend that you spend some time exploring that just in case it's helpful to you. If I've referred you to faculty advisors already during this webinar, then this is where you can find that information. Global Learning has more information about studying abroad in your major and other opportunities for global learning that don't require an abroad experience. And then lastly, I just want to point psychology and cognitive science students towards our website for finding information for research labs in Psych and Cog Sci. So here are some other resources that I'm just going to quickly describe to you before we move on. The general catalog for the university is your contract with the university. And so it's worthwhile to just Google UC Davis catalog, take a look at it, and especially make note of the university-wide requirements. We've referred to some of those requirements when we were breaking down your degree earlier in the webinar, but it's good for you to know where the actual requirements are written out for you. OASIS is our online advising system or student record system that we've been referencing throughout this webinar. At some point, you will get set up with OASIS if you haven't already. Aggie 101 and the Aggie Advising Canvas modules will help you to learn how to navigate that system. The Office of Educational Opportunity and Enrichment Services, which we affectionately just refer to as OEOES, is an awesome office that helps to connect students to pre-grad and pre-law advising, specifically non-health and medical programs. So if you're looking at applying to master's and PhD programs, MBAs, law school, that kind of stuff, they have awesome advising there for that. Also, they have success coaching and learning strategists. That is something that is a really cool resource to help students make sure that their study habits and ability to set and complete goals is kind of up to par to where you need them to be successful at a UC level. And so if you meet with a success coach, they'll help you to set some goals for yourself. And if you make regular appointments, they'll help you stay accountable to those goals that you've created. If you are eager to see how your learning habits might need to be adjusted for the courses that you're taking here, a learning strategist can help you take inventory of what your study skills and learning habits are, so that if you need to make adjustments or if you need new strategies, they can help you with that. The Internship and Career Center I already mentioned. They are an office that serves the whole student community on campus in getting connected with internship and career resources. And they have a quarterly internship and career fair that, as a transfer student, I would recommend that you check out at least once this year, and next year try to go every single quarter, because that is your main way to get connected with recruiters who are eager to hire UC Davis people. The Health Professions Advising website and office is the support office for anybody who's looking for a medical career or health related career. So for example, if you are looking forward to applying to medical school, then your advisors in your major, us, we know a lot about it, but not nearly as much as the folks over in Health Professions Advising who actually meet with med school admissions people to make sure you're getting the best information. So I would recommend that a first step, if you are looking forward to a health or medical career, is to go to this website, because they do list out UC Davis courses that meet prerequisites for health and medical programs that you might be looking forward to applying to. If you have any type of health needs or learning needs, or you think that you're going to need accommodations in your classes because you have different learning needs, then I strongly recommend that you get registered with the Student Disability Center this summer as soon as you can before the fall starts, so that if you do need accommodations in your courses, you can start using those accommodations as early as fall. And then last on the list here is the Student Health and Counseling Services. So this is our clinic on campus, and it also serves as our mental health support on campus. So if you have ongoing care, if you are going to be ill, if you have pharmacy needs, if you need to see a therapist, all of that's going to occur in our Student Health and Counseling. If you have questions about medical coverage or medical insurance, I would recommend that you revisit the information that you received from admissions about that. And if you have more questions, then you can reach out to the Student Health and Counseling website, because they will have information on that website about that too.
Okay, so we're in the final home stretch of our presentation here today. I know a lot of you have had questions about how to get advising one-on-one over the summer. So this is all the information that you'll need about that. So we're going to be offering advising in 2 different ways. We are doing Zoom drop-in advising. That's going to be on Friday mornings, 9 a.m. to noon, and that starts next Friday, and it goes through August 12th, which is right before you'll register for classes. So Friday mornings, this is for quick questions. So if you just have a quick question about your major requirements or where to find something, you can come visit our drop-in hours, and Padone just put the link in there. So bookmark that page, because that's going to be the same page you'll use throughout your time here at Davis to find drop-in advising, because that's something that we offer pretty regularly. The second way is through appointments. So we're offering appointments via Zoom over the summer. And this year, appointments are not required. So if you feel like you totally understand your major requirements, you have looked at the plan that we've made for you in OASIS, and you feel pretty prepared, you don't need to make an appointment. It's just there for students that feel like they need a little extra support, or maybe they're in an odd circumstance that maybe they just need some clarification on. That's what appointments are for. So you can schedule one with us. They are available now to book. However, I will say they can only be booked a few weeks out. So there's 430 of you starting in the fall, and we're super excited to meet with all of you, but we can't do that all in the same week. So if you're looking for appointments and you see that they're booked, it's likely because all 430 of you are trying to book at the same time. So just be a little bit patient. They do open up every single day, or not, I shouldn't say every single day, but every business day for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks out. Is that right, Alyssa? So just click back to the next week and then check back in the morning. If you aren't able to find one, we will definitely have enough slots for you. We have planned them out so that we have enough slots for everybody who wants to make an appointment. I saw, yeah, so that's advising over the summer. And I know we've mentioned in the chat and briefly in the presentation about the Aggie 101 and Aggie Advising Canvas modules. So those are going to be your first overview in depth about coming to UC Davis and starting at UC Davis and what that looks like. So please, before you make an appointment or before you come to drop-in advising, please be sure to finish those modules and write down any questions that you have, because maybe there's some things that are unclear or you're not sure how they apply to you. Feel free to write those down and bring them to drop-in or your appointment, and we can help you clarify from there. But those modules are going to answer a lot of your questions. So then we can use the appointment time or drop-in for a little bit more exploration, kind of digging in deeper for helping you out. So we will also, this is just the first step of advising. We're not going to cover everything in your very first meeting with us, but we're here to support you throughout your time here at Davis. And we will also have mandatory advising in winter quarter. So you will definitely be able to meet with us in winter quarter. And that's kind of just to check in, see how things are going with you, go over that plan and see if we need to adjust anything. So over the summer, appointments not required. In winter quarter, they will be required though. Okay, so we have our email addresses. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to email us at these, take a screenshot. This is the best way to get in touch with us because these emails are monitored by a lot of different people. So you'll get an answer faster than if you email just one person. Maybe they're out, maybe they're out sick, or they have a lot of email to get through. So go ahead and send your questions to whatever your major email address is and take a screenshot. That'll be your lifeline for your time here at Davis. Now we have time for questions. Padone, any big ones we should cover?
There was a question about whether there's a deadline to register for fall courses. So maybe want to talk about pastimes.
Okay. Yeah, so there is a deadline, which is, I mean, technically when classes start, you want to be registered, but really you'll have pastimes assigned to you, and that'll be covered in those modules that we're talking about. And I know Padone has put links to find those modules in the chat. So review those and you'll see all about pastimes. So there's 2 pastimes that you'll register for. You'll all be registering, I believe, what is it, August 15th, I think, is when you'll register for classes. You want to register as soon as possible. So when your pastime opens, if it's 8 a.m., register at 8 a.m. Have your schedule ready. You can be playing around in Schedule Builder before, and you can kind of plan out a few different schedules and have a plan in mind, and then you can just click register all when your appointment time or your pastime opens, and then you can just register. So as soon as possible is really the deadline. But if you do need to make changes, there is open hours, and there is a second pastime that you'll have to register for other classes.
There was another question, if they should wait until we fill out the form in Oasis before they make an appointment.
You don't have to, but it might be helpful to be able to review that plan before you come into the appointment. So it's not a requirement, but we do have a goal to get them scheduled or to get them finished by next week. So, you know, they should be done fairly quickly. So yeah, we're doing our best to get through all of those, but it would be helpful to review it first.
I'm just scanning for some questions that we haven't answered in the chat.
I'll answer the one that just came in about priority enrollment. So you are among the last group to register for fall because that's how it works for incoming students. All of our current students have already registered back a few months ago, but we have across campus held back seats and hid them and we will release them just for you. So what you see on our course schedule or in Schedule Builder now in terms of how many seats are open in classes may not truly be the whole story. And so closer to your pastime, those seats will be unhidden. They will be released so that you have a fairer opportunity to get into the classes that you need. Don't worry too much about freshmen who are registering because they most likely are trying to get into different classes than you are. And then moving forward beyond fall, our course registration priority goes in descending order from those who have the most units. And that's designed to make sure that people who are closest to graduation are able to get the classes that they need for graduation. So seniors, and then juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. You will be in junior standing, so you, starting in the winter, will have a better registration time for that quarter and then moving forward. If you are in a special population, then there are certain populations of people who have even earlier pastimes just based on special circumstances. Specifically, if you're a student parent, if you are a student with a disability registered with the Student Disability Center, if you're a student athlete who has difficult practice schedules. So those are some examples of those smaller priority groups.
Isabel asked a great question about how do you declare your emphasis? And that is not something that you officially declare, but when you go into your Oasis student information page, you'll see a degree worksheet tab. And once you find your major and the specific emphasis for your major, there's a degree worksheet for each of our various emphases within the different majors that we have. So you would select the emphasis that you are interested in and open up that degree worksheet and fill out, you can use it as a great way to track your progress through the major as you're taking classes, or even kind of identifying the classes that you intend to take in the future, and save that. And it, each time you save the degree worksheet, it saves a new copy of it each time you adjust it. So it gives you a nice kind of record of what you're interested in, and as your goals might change over time. So the last kind of degree worksheet that you have for a particular emphasis, that's the one that we're going to use as noting as your final emphasis for graduation. So if you're doing, for example, the Psych BS Bio emphasis, as long as you have your latest degree worksheet for that, we're using that as kind of your way of telling us that's the intended emphasis. Thank you.
We have a question about when the pastimes are. So those will be on August 15th, it looks like. Yeah, I'm going to put the link in the chat to the calendar, so you'll see all of the dates for new student orientation. This is from the registrar's office. So there's two different times that your Past 1 time will be. So you'll either have the 8 a.m. one or the 1 p.m. one. And like Stacy was saying, that seats are held back. They're held back for each of those appointment times. So it's not that they're open and the 8 a.m. get all of the first pick of classes. They get opened up for the 8 a.m. round, and then they get opened up again for the 1 p.m. round. So you're in the same boat, whichever time that you get, but they will both be on August 15th. And you should be able to see your registration time at some point, probably not right now because things are just beginning to start for prep for new students. So I would take a look in your OASIS record when you get access later in the summer. You should have access now, but when you check later in the summer, you should be able to see your past time on your homepage and then also on your schedule builder, which is the system that you use to register, and the Canvas modules will go over schedule builder and what that looks like.
We will also be holding some drop-in support for registration on the 15th in the morning, and then for a few hours in the afternoon as well, just in case you have any challenges with registration. We're here to help you. And that, I believe, will be via Zoom.
There's another really great question from Ryan about biopsych and classes taken at community college. So this is going to be a question a lot of you will have. So all of the classes that you took, with the exception of possibly organic chemistry, that's a very, very small exception. All of the classes that you took at community college are considered lower division. So at UC Davis, if there's an upper division course, so like Psych 101, anything from 100 to 199 is considered upper division. Those cannot be fulfilled by your lower division classes from community college. So if you took a biopsych class at community college, you're welcome to still take Psych 101, which is Intro to Biological Psychology here at Davis. And it's an upper division class, so it's probably going to go into more depth. But if you took the lower division part at UCD or at your community college, you'll probably have a good background understanding and you'll probably do really well in the class. So you can look at it that way. But we can't use your community college classes to fulfill upper division major requirements. But you're still welcome to take them because they're not equivalent classes.
For Marie, who said that they weren't able to access the appointment system, I'm wondering if you were logged in using your Kerberos or your UC Davis login. So you need to be logged in as a UC Davis student to access the appointment system. If you're still struggling at that point, then I would have you reach out to us in one of the email addresses that we shared with you so that we can just go more specifically into what you're seeing.
I'm looking into this. I think if you were maybe SIR'd later or something, maybe you weren't on our initial list. So, because I'm not seeing you on the list. So I will check into that and make sure that you get access.
Thanks, Alyssa. All right, so we're going to move on to our community building portion of our webinar. So stay tuned. I'm going to take a minute to wrap up the Zoom recording. So those of you tuning in on YouTube, thanks for watching. Please feel free to reach out to us via email and follow up with the links that we have in the YouTube description. Thank you.